Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first in a long time live stream of Mission Turfgrass in dominKnow with myself, Brent Schlenker, and our amazing e-learning authoring guest, developer, man of all things, skills, comic guys, Kevin Thorn. We've already started chatting, and I just turned on the go live and the stream to record how we're going to do this. So while Kevin is building the initial framework in the whiteboard, I can add some color, perhaps, for those of you that have not watched any of our early episodes during the summer or earlier in the year. Just so you know, boy, we started this months and months and months ago, and I thought we'd go a lot faster, but it's been an ongoing project. I still think it's a cool project, which is why we're continuing to do it. But Kevin created this project in the early days, 2010, and won the Best of Show award at Demo Fest at DevLearn, and it was all built in Articulate Storyline, the desktop version back in the day.
Studio.
Studio. Sorry.
It was. Storyline was still like in its early beta days.
Okay. So that was the one that was the PowerPoint plugin, right?
Yeah, it was a Studio Presenter.
There we go. All right. Anyhow, what we're doing is we decided to recreate it inside of Claro, and we got pretty far with that. I still have a lot of cleaning up to do in that one. But now what we're doing is we want to take the same basic content, the same basic principles, the same idea, and build it in the responsive environment inside of dominKnow that's called Flow. And that's where we're at. And so anybody that's watching live, feel free to jump into the comments and share your thoughts. Otherwise, enjoy watching us work through the creative process. He says as he scratches his ear.
Well,
I'm the narrator.
Yeah, I'm just thinking through kind of memory. I can't remember. I think there were 8 of these. So this is the badges, if you will. Well, gear. No, it's actually gear and rank. So each time you finish an objective, you get a new piece of gear in your rucksack, and you get promoted to the next rank. On the way to, I had it set up to where you started out as a private, and then you went to a corporal and a sergeant, staff sergeant, sergeant first class, then a first sergeant, I think, or sergeant major. I can't remember. There was, anyway, so you kind of promoted, and this is the, command sergeant major. So the idea is you start out with private, you go on these you get a mission brief, you get your mission brief, and then you go to each one of these objectives to learn what your objectives are, check out your rucksack where it is. Once you've completed this,
what's objective 3?
Care. It's supposed to say care and maintenance.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, let's fix that. Care and maintenance.
Yep. Okay.
Tools and equipment. Then you once you do you kind of have to do the mission brief before you get started.
Yep. And that had a video on it and some text and some voiceover, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can rethink the content, the little fun stuff, because like we had,
Okay.
um, trying to think of the structure first. So we had an opening vid.
Yeah, I didn't mean to
Um,
distract you there. We could finish the structure if you
no,
wanted
just
to.
some other military themed graphics, some sound effects. Just some of the assets that you need to prepare,
Yep.
to get ready for that. So, and then there was one thing that I did early on that didn't work, but it had sort of it was kind of cool conceptually. It worked for a little bit, but I couldn't get it to carry forward in that
Oops.
PowerPoint-esque environment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At the time, but you got an overview of the objectives. You didn't actually go to them. It was just sort of a here's what they are. It's part of the mission brief. Um, so if you think, for those of you who don't know, sort of the military mission order, um, situation, mission, execution. So you find what's the situation, um, neighborhood in early spring, when weeds and grass starts to grow, kind of the weeds are invading the grass. So that's the situation. The mission is to identify the grass and the weeds and how they live together, um, and know how to take care of them and what kind of tools and equipment you need to manage the weeds and have a healthy lawn. So that's the mission. And then the execution is recon the neighborhood and learn about and identify the various domestic weeds and grasses that grow in different climate regions, and then how to care for those different ones. So that's situation, mission, execution. And that piece I've got written somewhere, but I never implemented that part of it in the mission brief. So that would be kind of cool to add this time, to get it more. So so let's see. We'll just say mission order. And then if we really want to make this truly gamification or a game it, we can throw in frag orders. So frag, or short for fragmentation. So a fragmentation order is, I just think of your daily errands that you run. So let's
Yeah.
say you're on your way to an appointment, and you plan your situation. I have an appointment at the doctor's office at this time. Mission: leave the house in half hour early to give time to get to the doctor's office. I'm going to be driving this vehicle. I'm going to take this route, and I should arrive at the doctor's office at this time, plenty enough time to go in and check in before my appointment. So that's your mission, and that's the execution. Well, you do that, but then a frag order, um,
So-
there's a railroad crossing that you as part of your route, and when you go that route, there's a train, and then inevitably the train stops because it's for whatever we've all been there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
A train goes by and you're waiting for the train to go by, but then it just slows down and stops. And you're like, what? Now what? And you're stuck in a line of traffic. You can't turn around. You got to wait for this train to go. Now you're going to be late.
Right.
So a frag order is, how do you adjust? I still have to accomplish the mission. I still have to get to my doctor's appointment,
Okay.
but now I'm going to be late, or potentially might be late, depending on how long this train takes. So what action would you do in order to prepare for that disruption? Well, the first thing you might want to do is call the doctor's office. Say, hey, look, I just got held up by a train. I might be running a little bit late. Just want to let you know I'll be
So it's
there
kind of
as soon
like
as.
contingency plans, kind of like.
Yeah, that was what you do. You get the frag order. That's the frag order, right?
Right.
But in a military perspective, because you have surveillance and recon out front. So if you're on a mission to go secure a hill, if you will, and you've planned your route, you've planned your contingency routes and all that. Well, let's say you're on your route and then a frag order comes in and says, "Hey, we just spotted a rogue convoy that's on the same route as you are, coming the same way. Move to contingency plan B, change your route, go this way." Right. So you have to be prepared for contingencies because you never know when you get a frag order, and they could
So,
be high. The more challenging is you only have one route. Your contingency route will add 2 hours to your route to your mission. And if you add but that's only in emergencies. Well, the emergency frag order is the bridge that you were going to cross just got blown up, and now you can't cross that valley. You have no choice but to take Route B. Route B is now, um, you know what I mean. So that's um,
so how would that? What kind of contingency plans would we squeeze into something like
I don't know.
this?
That's the plan, right? Because I didn't know what that is at first. So
Yeah.
you could be
All
like
right.
each objective could have a frag order, and each one could get progressively harder, right? So let's
Yeah. So
say
we're
let's say
building
we're in the
kind of a simulation kind of thing then.
yeah. So let's say we're in the grass. Um, we're in the grasses objective, the first one, and let's say,
Let me pop this
if we
back
just
up
want to
here.
think through it. So if you're in the grasses recon, and so we're in the grass objective, um, there are 8 types of grass. And so in storyline, what I would do, I would have a variable equals grass. That would be the name of the variable. I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, that may or
And
may not
then
be.
we would do the
Um,
same thing.
and um, no, actually, I would not call it grass. It would be a number variable. Um, a number variable. Oh, come on, Kevin. It would be a random num var equals 1 through 8. And then that random number would appear every time you would go to a grass. When you at some point that random number would fire, and random randomly present a frag order.
Uh,
So you don't know when it's coming; it just hits you. It's like, oh, what does that mean? So now that technically that's how you would implement a random frag order in an objective. This
okay.
particular objective. From a design content perspective, what would that be? So if you're in the objective of learning about the different grasses, what would be a frag order? So let's think. Um, I'm just storytelling now. I'm just thinking out loud. This is how I
Yep.
go through my process, right? I'll sit in my little dark studio late at night talking to myself and telling these stories. So this is my process. So let's see. You're in the springtime. You're reconning the neighborhood with your little binoculars, looking at different blades of grass. Is this Bermuda grass? Is this fescue grass? Is this Kentucky, fescue or Kentucky bluegrass? So you're studying all of these grasses, and then a frag order would be um, it starts raining really hard, right? So you can't be outside, right? You can't see, the grass is getting wet. The mission got disrupted. So one would be thunderstorm. What would be another one?
Oh yeah.
A neighbor calls you out. What are you doing in my lawn? Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
That could be
Injury.
yeah, an injury, like you tripped over a garden hose.
Or ow, you throw your back out. Because we're old guys. These are things we think about.
So little things like that, right?
Yep.
Those what I'm thinking would be frag orders. Now, how would that play out? If you get a frag order, what happens? Now, what happens then? Do you the objective? You failed the objective, so you could. Um, what are the consequences?
So yeah, so it's kind of like brainstorming or coding in like a Sim City type thing where something happens, you have to react, and then based on all the things you do, something else happens, and you have to react. And there's to a certain
Yeah,
extent.
in this context, because we're not building a true game.
Right.
So the number of programming evaluation and randomness that we would have to code in order to like all those little components. If you did this, then here's the whole thing reacts based on this choice.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
We don't want to do that. But I mean, in general,
so in this regard, a random frag order appears, and that random could be, um, the thunderstorm. A neighbor calls you out, you trip on a guard, you get an injury. Those are the random thing. Those are the frags, right?
yeah,
Now, what's the consequence of that? Well, to your point, how do you react to that? What does that do?
yeah,
Um, do we have 3 lives and you lose a life? But in that case, because it's random, I don't have any control over surviving my lives,
yeah,
right? So if I lost a life, it would be some action that I would do to cause me to lose a life, like I failed the objective.
right.
A random frag order is out of my control. So if I get a random frag order and I fail the objective, it's not my fault.
Maybe. Oh, maybe we give them options. So how do you respond to the frag order?
All right, hold on, let me.
And it's not even it's not even like right or wrong. It's like good, better, best. You know.
Okay, so what would be fun? So if in the rucksack you had a poncho, so if a thunderstorm was one of the randomness things,
Oh
you could
yeah.
go to your rucksack and use the poncho, right?
Yep.
But if you haven't earned the poncho yet and you get a thunderstorm, you fail the objective because you have to go home. You start over.
Yep. Or I got to go to the ER or something. And then if it's like, and if it's an injury type thing, you got a first aid kit in your rucksack or
First aid
something.
kit,
Yeah.
right? So injury is a first aid kit. A thunderstorm is a piece of gear. A neighbor calls you out. What would that be? What would be your response? Um, that might not be a good frag, but I'm just trying to think.
Yeah. Sure. This way, or
Because
we could
what
just
would be in a
yeah, from a
rucksack?
design perspective for this, maybe we just keep it as we're going to decide to have a certain number of frag orders here, and then we
Yeah,
move on.
maybe two,
Yeah.
two per. Let's say two. Um, all right, let's see. Let me take this one out. And then this would be random 1 to 2. Um, and then each objective has a different set of frags. So these are, um, we're going to call these grass frags.
Excellent.
Grass frags.
So will we need a page or a section to describe or explain what the grass frags are? So I guess that would just be another section that's part of
Well, it'd be part of the mission order.
the mission brief or the overview. Okay, gotcha.
Be aware of frags, frag orders. Um, um,
Or the post office.
what's the word? What's the word of? I don't want to say survive. That's not the word I'm thinking. No, that's not the word I want. Overcoming. Overcoming a frag.
I think we lost your iPad share on your screen.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
No, stop. It says stop sharing, but it is sharing.
Oh, but I've got the United States
Oh,
Postal Service.
hang on. Hang on. Oh, didn't want to do that. Hang on.
I'll just close it out while you're switching it.
No, it's coming back up. It was reflector
Okay.
for some reason. Um, Shut down. There it is. 3682. I gotta get instead of the Bluetooth connect, I need to do a hardwire.
Ah,
There we go. Better?
perfecto. It's back.
Okay. So overcoming a frag. Um, Use earned item from rucksack. Consequence. Fail objective. Start over. Lose a life. Okay. Now let's think through that. If we have lives, so 3 lives. Um, Now I'm thinking of the icon. What does the icon of a life look like? Um,
Oh, maybe make it like maybe a helmet.
okay. Yeah, 3 of those. Come on.
I know at some point one of the comments in the video is going to be, what app is he using?
Procreate.
Procreate. That's right.
Procreate. All right, 3 lives. Then from the interface perspective, where does that live? Where does this thing, where does that go?
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
And then programming that across the whole thing. So if you lose a life, what happens when you lose 3 lives? You fail the mission. So that's the biggie, right? You either fail the mission or you can fail an objective. So there's 4 objectives. You have the opportunity to fail 2 of the 4 and still complete the mission
Right.
because you'd have 1 life left,
Yep. There you go. That works.
right?
Yep.
Um, okay.
So what are we missing? I feel like it was more complex than this.
Oh, we're not there yet.
We're not at the hard part.
No, we're not at the hard part yet. We're just mapping out how we get this. We're just getting started.
We are just cranking this bad boy up. Yep.
We're just laying out the overall structure first, the behavior. We haven't even gotten into navigation yet. We haven't gotten into how to manage that rucksack yet.
And no
we haven't
need
gotten
to.
into individual interactions yet. We got a ways to go. Because then there's a objective complete, accomplished. I know what it was that I was going to. It was the password sort of access. This is the thing that I wanted to build initially. So when you finish the mission brief, you go to a screen that has 4 padlocks. And each padlock is the objective. 1, 2. So you don't have to go in order.
Ah, that's right.
Right? But you have to.
Well, now you did have a padlock type thing in the first
I
one.
built it initially, but it wouldn't. I couldn't get it to work across. I couldn't get it. I couldn't finish it in time to get it to work. I got to look at a couple of them, but I couldn't get it. I didn't have enough time to get it built out for everything. And then, so you go here first, right? And then you go here, and this was kind of a cool graphic. I had an old time, like transistor radio with the dial, and it had the buttons, and it had that whole squelchy sound to it.
Oh yeah.
And here's a little radio. And then this was a field where you enter the password.
Oh, okay, that's the part I didn't have. Yeah.
Enter password. But where did you get the password? Aha. What is the password and where did you get it from? So that's the clue. So the clue goes back to clues are given in the mission brief.
It's like Blue's Clues.
So if you get here and you go here, it's like, what's the password? And then, like say maybe this button here is the hint button. Go to mission brief.
Yes.
And this button is access granted.
Here, this is what I remember seeing.
Now this might not be a radio. Did I lose my freaking thing again?
Yeah, it went off again. This is as close as we got to having those locks.
I know what's happening. I know why it is. I've got to touch the MacBook to let it know that I'm still active.
Oh, it's going into sleep mode.
Yeah, I'm playing in the iPad thinking it's connected this whole time.
Yeah.
And I let it fall asleep.
Ah.
So I'll just have to remember to grab my mouse and click on something.
Jiggle the mouse every now and then.
Yeah, that's all. There we go. We're back. Okay, I'm here again.
All right, cool. There we go.
All right. So I'll jiggle my mouse here this way. Okay, so access granted, And again, it doesn't have to be a radio kind of thing. And then once you access granted, then you go back here. Well, um, you go back there, but what happens is do this. You go back here, and then see, this is not. Let me do it this way. I'm trying to draw this in such a way that it makes sense. So access granted goes back up here. Um, Unlock. So when you unlock, then what happens is the little sound effect, and then this thing goes up and it unlocks. So you hear that click, and the padlock unlocks. And then when it unlocks, there's a button that appears that allows you to then go to that objective.
Uh-oh, I have a cat interrupting my focus.
And then the passwords, the clues are this is the password, this is a password, this is a password, and this is the password.
So are they trying to guess what the password is, or how are we
No,
getting?
yeah. So passwords.
There's your password
In the
options.
mission brief, the whole mission brief is how to navigate, how to, it's basically think of here's how to navigate this course, right? Think of that type of a screen. So, but it's written in as a mission brief, and in that mission brief, you say before you're allowed to access any of the objectives, you'll have to enter a password. The clues for the passwords are indicated in each of the titles of the four. Like we give them exactly where it is. The
Yeah.
password is a word in the title of each objective,
Gotcha. Okay.
right?
Yep.
And then objective would be um, types of grass. So there's 3 words there, types of grass. One of those words is the password.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Makes
Right.
perfect sense. I love it.
So it's easy enough to figure out, but not a gimme.
Right.
Um, mouse jiggle. Are words in the titles of the objectives. Now, so when I'm planning something like this, I have no idea how this would work in a responsive setup, right?
Right. And that's
So I
what we're
don't know.
going
Do we
to.
design this? Do we design it out like we were doing a full Mission Turfgrass desktop version, and then figure out how to convert it to a responsive one?
No, I say we just go all in on the responsive.
I thought we were doing that before. I don't know. Maybe it was a month ago. We talked about maybe we should switch back to Claro.
And then do a redesign in Claro first, and then
Yeah.
do the Flow version.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's doable too, for sure. Do you think that'd be easier? Maybe we
I
should
don't know.
do
You
that.
tell me because I don't. I can't. You're gonna have to lead me through the flow development
Yeah,
piece because
yeah.
I have no idea
Then that's why
how
I'm
this
here,
works
right?
from a
Yeah.
coding Right.
Right. So just think to yourself, though, what you do know about other responsive tools or just the web as you see it as a whole, or what you've seen so far, and we'll just go from there. And because I see this as all still very doable inside of Flow. So from a design perspective, and as we decide to develop it, I think this is going to be the interesting conversation that we can have in weeks to come, as you going through the design process like this, and not kind of knowing what this might look like or how we might implement it. I can help with that, and then we can work together and figure out how do we implement this and make it look still interesting and fun, and still have all this functionality, but in a responsive environment, where somebody could go through the whole thing on a phone and it would still look really cool, or an iPad or a tablet or something like that. So just keep, since we're still early phase, we're just going to keep moving forward and just designing, what we've got, and and just thinking through the different features, the navigation elements, right, and what we want to have happen where, and then how we execute on it will.
Would it be helpful if I prototyped it in Storyline? That way you can see what I'm thinking from a interactive navigation perspective, and then we take that model and copy it into the other way, or rebuild it that way.
Yeah, that might be
part of my process is like that password piece.
Yeah.
I would prototype that out.
I see what you're saying.
And then I would go and prototype this out, and then I'd stitch them together and see how it works. So maybe do that first, and that way you can see what I'm from the actual behaviors.
Yeah, let's do that. Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to add more work on your plate, in between conversations, but
well, that's the thing, right? This is a pet project, so it's just whenever we got time to do it.
Let's just see what we can do, right? Yeah, and in the meantime, I'll create it in or try to prototype some of these things that we've talked about, just inside of both environments, and just kind of see what I can come up with, and then I'll show you some stuff too. So
okay.
So how about we wrap up here for today? And
yeah.
This is a good spot to stop. I think we're headed in a really good direction. I think it's gonna be fun, for sure. So thanks everybody for hanging out or watching the recording later. We've got it in the can. I'm gonna click finish, and then we'll be back. End.